Hi, I'm Laneth with Counted Quilts, and today we're going to talk about how to put the ribbon trim on this adorable little cowboy. Let's get to work. You will need a product that is an adhesive, an iron-on adhesive. I use Heat and Bond, the strong, no-soak kind. It provides a good strong bond. Then you need 1/8 inch ribbon and a dime and some black cloth. On the first page of your pattern, there's a picture by that top box that shows you how the quilt will look once you get all of the trim, the ribbon trim, placed on the quilt. We are going to cut 1/8 inch strips off our Heat and Bond. You need to cut several of these, probably 6 or 7 of these. They're very small, just 1 little 1/8 inch strips. You also need to cut a small piece of Heat and Bond that is about the same size as a black piece of cloth that you will adhere it to. This piece of cloth needs to be large enough that you could get 7 dimes on. 7 dimes. So those are the size of your buttons. To attach the Heat and Bond to the ribbon, I pin the ribbon tight on my ironing board, take the glue side and attach it with a pin to the ribbon. The iron is on a hot setting. I usually just slowly do it. 5 seconds. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Then I will put the Heat and Bond glue side down on my black cloth. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. On page 4 in your pattern there is a picture of the cowboy, and it's on a grid, and that is so that you can see where the ribbons lie. The squares on this grid are 1 inch if you are making a crib, and they are 2 inches if you are making a quilt for a twin-size bed. You see here's the buttons, and we have drawn 7 buttons on the paper with a dime on the back of the Heat and Bond. We will cut those buttons out, and then we will set them aside, and then we will start putting the trim on our little cowboy. I'm going to pull the paper off the ribbon. What I have done is after one strip was on, then I laid another strip right on top of it, kept right on going so that I had a long piece of ribbon to work with, because this pattern takes a lot of ribbon trim. And I think I put on 5 or 6 of these in a row. You can see the glue. Glue is the shiny side. We are just pulling off the paper. We're going to start at the bottom of the cowboy with the chaps, and I'm going to run a black ribbon from the boot up to the blue. Pin it into your ironing board. I usually put one in the middle to hold it straight. We're going to cut that at the blue and iron it down. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Looking at our picture, we're going to do the buckle and the buttons next. So I pull the paper off the back of those buttons, and we'll put them where they belong. Place those 4 buttons evenly on that shirt and iron them down. There we have our buttons. Looking at the paper, you will see that his fingers are 2 grid marks. That means they're 2 inches long for those lines, and that they start right there at the beginning of the angle on the hand. And that's where we're going to put them. Cut 2 2-inch black ribbons. There we have them cut and pinned in place, and we will iron them down. And there's the hand. Putting the ribbon on the sleeve according to the picture that we have. You come up from the thumb to the top of the pocket, and from the top of the pocket over to the seam line on the scarf. Pin it down and we will iron it in place. On the pocket I am going to use a friction pencil because they erase with heat. I'm going to come down an inch and make a mark, and come down a second inch and make a mark. Then I'm going to go from the second mark in an inch and make a mark. I'll run a line from that mark down and from that mark over. And that's where I want to put my ribbon. We'll pin the ribbon in place and then iron it down. And then you add the pocket button about in the middle of the pocket. We'll then move to the other pocket and do the same thing. And there we have the two pockets, and we'll move over to the other hand. Again, you're going to go from the seam line about 2 inches, and from this point up about 2 inches, and then put your ribbon on and tack it down. We're now going to add the arm mark, which goes up from the hand and zigzags up to the jaw. The grid will be very useful here because it will show us the measurements of those turns. And there you see the ribbon on. Once again, we went over an inch and up 2, and then mark that, up 3 and mark that, over 1, up 2, over 1, and up 2. Moving on to the face, we look at the grid. We're going up 1, 2, 3, 4 for the top of the nose, and it will be 1 by 2 by 1. The mouth comes off that same point, up 1, 2, 1, and 1. And I went up on the seam line, there's a large seam down the center of him, up 4 inches, made a dot, came down 1 and made a dot, drew my line, went across, did the same on the other side, up 4, made a dot, came down, made a dot at an inch, and then joined the two together. That will be his nose. I went up for the mouth, made a dot, went up an inch. I went up a little higher. It looks like I went up 1.25 inches, raised it a little. Put a dot, connected the bottom. There's a small seam line here. You go up 2 inches, make your dot, connect. And this one, it is, again, your 2 inches, make your dot, and connect. Then we will put the ribbon on my marks for his face. You want to cut your ribbon and pin it in place, and then you want to iron it down. And then take out your pins, and voila, we have the face. Let's move on to the hat. We're going to run the black ribbon from the joint here down to the tip of the hat band ribbon. Pin it and press. Following the diagram, we're going to run the ribbon to the seam line, down 1 inch, along the seam line 1 inch, down 1 inch, and into the hat band. Once again, I've used my friction pen, and the brim cascades 1, 1, 1, 1. So you go over 1, come down 1, I mark that, over 1, down 1, over 1, down 1, over 1, down 1, till it hits the seam of the eye. And there we have the little 1 inch pieces cascading down to the eye, establishing the brim. And there he is, with all the cute trimming on him, our cute little cowboy quilt. Isn't he fun? We put on his face and his hat, his buttons, and his trousers. And now he looks adorable. He's just one of the many cute quilts at CountedQuilts.com. He comes in 3 sizes. This one, which is the crib size, a large one, which we call the fun size, or you can make him for the spread on a twin size bed. 72 by 90 inches. Fun, cute, and easy. Our adorable little cowboy. We hope this has made it easier for you. Thanks.